Welcome to Bets on the Future, where we highlight the various career paths in the electrifying metals world. From the vehicle you ride in to the bridge holding it up, metals are everywhere. Why not in your career too? I'm Jennifer Betts, a metals industry veteran with almost 20 years experience, here to highlight these incredible career paths as told by the women who are living them. This week, I am extremely biased on who we have on our podcast this week. She is an incredible colleague, coworker, incredibly educated in this realm that we're going to be talking about today. Marissa Watkins graduated from Boise State University in 2018 with a degree in communications with an emphasis in marketing and a minor in nonprofit management. She got started in the recycling industry in 2017, working at the front desk at United Metals Recycling in Boise, handling everything from road taxes to petty cash for the 6 yards they had at the time. After a brief hiatus, she found her way back to the recycling industry with United Metals in a purely marketing position, and the rest is history. Marissa, thank you so much for coming on and taking the opportunity. Obviously, I'm a little biased. You are in charge of our marketing development from the digital marketing side of things at Recycled Media. So thank you so much for coming on. I know you're a little busy these days, so really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. I'm so glad I'm able to sit down and do this with you. I've never been on a podcast, so this is going to be a different realm. I love to market them. Never actually been on this side of the camera. Usually I'm behind Sky, who is filming or editing them, and I'm like poking her going, "What's that?"
Yes.
So this is a different place for me to be, definitely.
Well, I really do appreciate it because we've had this conversation a few times where I've been, sort of encouraging you to get maybe more in front of the camera because she is really wonderful with our clients behind the scenes, encouraging them, helping them with their strategy, helping them with just their overall digital footprint. And so I thought it was time. More people got to know some of our team members, especially Marissa at Recycled Media.
Definitely. I'm so excited. Yeah, it's definitely different, but it's kind of nice because now I can talk to clients when they're nervous about being on podcasts. I remember one particular, we were at the Scrap Expo and he was so nervous about being on this side of the camera because he'd never had to do a podcast before, never really done marketing in any sort of platform. And he was like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I'm like, it's fine. Just you're having a conversation with a friend, and it's nice that I can actually like now do that. Usually I'm just like, yeah, it's just like having a conversation with a friend. I've never done it. I've never had said conversation with a friend. So this is going to be a good back pocket thing to have.
Yes, it really is. And your background and your history of how you got into this industry is, from my perspective, very interesting. So if you don't mind sharing, I mean, how did you find this industry?
Yeah, so I was in college. I had finally moved out of my mom's house and I needed a job.
Step
And so I went
one.
down the rabbit hole of, things that were hiring in the area. I had a lot of experience with customer service and things like that. And I saw a front desk position and it was literally just near my house. And I was like, oh, I'd never been over there, but it's near the airport. Okay. I, did more research on it and they had a really long history of being there. They had multiple locations. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, this place has been here for a while. Clearly people trust it. They have more than one location, usually more than one location. I'm thinking, okay, obviously like good customer service. They like the people they work with. Like they're good to the employees. Um, so I went for the interview, got the front desk job and was there for a couple years. Um, I literally follow people around the yard every once in a while. I remember like the first couple days I was in office, they had made me shadow the guys in the scale house just for a day, just to kind of see like, what was going on. And I'm so thankful for that because that was something I obviously didn't know that we really did. I'm thinking it's just front desk stuff. I'll handle the paperwork, whatever. I've never had another job like make me shadow them,
Mhm.
understand the full scope of it. So that was really helpful and insightful to kind of see like what all we were handling and even just like the trucks driving on the scale. And I'm like asking questions. I'm like, so why are you weighing it now? It's just things that were completely unknown to me beforehand. And so I really fell in love with just like the camaraderie at that office. The United Metals team is incredible, and I'm so beyond thankful that I got started with them, and still work with them. So, but yeah, took a little break, went to a different industry, came back, which is so fine. And they welcomed me back with open arms, which I'm so thankful for. But at that point, I'd already had a degree and I wanted to just do marketing. I didn't want to be at the front desk anymore. I'm like, I want to level up. So I kind of talked them into just letting me just do marketing only, which was perfect. And they found a role for me. And at that time, I was just creating social media content for like every brand that we have under the umbrella, which is a number of them. If you know anything about United Metals, we have like a toe in every industry. So at that point, I was literally pumping out like 5 pieces of content for each brand every week,
Oh my gosh.
which was insanity. And
Yes.
it's like, I mean, I like thinking back on it, I don't know how I had the time or the creativity, like the creative ability to do that. Um, but on like the side, I was starting to create like a recycled media website. I didn't want anyone to know I was working on it, but I knew that there was potential there. So I kind of was like, when they weren't walking by the office, I was like working on a new website, just kind of like market, like to think about like our like things that we could offer clients or what we could offer other businesses and like things like that. So that kind of got started like way back when. And then finally, like Brett hopped on board. It always takes him a little bit. Now we joke around with them. And so he finally hopped on board. And then I was like, hey, I kind of already started building a website for it. And so once we got Nick and Brett on board, it was game on, which was really cool.
And for those who may not know, on LinkedIn, social media, Brett is Brett Eckhart, CEO of the United Metals family group of companies. Um, Go ahead and give him a follow, give Marissa a follow. They're fantastic on there. Just for perspective, the social media side of things, what Marissa has been able to help with United Metals has helped grow their business. And so I think it's really incredible that you just took the initiative thinking like, okay, I've got this experience in the metal recycling side of things. I've got this passion for marketing. I know it can help grow this business. Let's take a look to see if we can help other businesses grow it as well. So it's really quite impressive to see the initiative behind it, just to say, all right, nobody told me to do this, but I know this is what we should be doing. And so you took the time, when you had it, to get that up and running. Yes.
Yeah. It was it's always kind of like goofy looking back at it. Because at the time, like we didn't have anyone to really help. We were just servicing ourselves at the time, and we were just like an in-house marketing agency,
Mhm.
which was kind of brilliant at the time because then we can kind of get our feet wet with all the different types of marketing we were going to be handling, whether that be like website design, content creation, podcast recording, because we were doing all that at the time, but it was under like every single brand, and there was no like main umbrella for it. Um, yeah, it's just like thinking back, it's just kind of crazy, like looking how far we've come and like, gosh, that was what, 2020?
Mhm. Perfect timing. If you think about it, like 2020
Yeah,
was the year to get online because
yeah,
we couldn't see each other in person, right?
absolutely. And I think that really helped um the industry, like the smaller to mid-size like yards, because people were home all the time. They were
Mhm.
stuck like, oh, I guess I'll clean up finally. And then next thing you know, they're Googling like scrap yards near me. And
Mhm.
then if you didn't have any sort of web presence at all, they weren't finding you, they weren't going to you, which was kind of an incredible like timing. I'm like, I'm pumping out all this content. We're using Google AdWords. Um, we were fixing up all of our websites one by one. I think I went through and redid like 7 websites in the last in like a year and a half time frame, which is insane to think about.
Mhm.
But that created an incredible amount of organic CEO or SEO for each of those brands. Those all had content. Each of them had this different social media platform on every single platform. I mean, it was insane to think about, but just a simple Google, you were getting exactly what you needed. And all of our brands were just thriving because of it, which is like, it was literally a wild time.
It's still surprising to me when you and I have had conversations with prospective clients and we meet them at conferences or expos, and they're either not really on LinkedIn, or their website hasn't been updated in several years, or oh, we're on Facebook, but we don't do any Google AdWords, people just know who we are. And it's just surprising to me, because that mindset of just like, well, it's always worked for us, so we're just going to keep doing the status quo, is so surprising. Because when you take a look back and you think about the yellow pages and billboards, yeah, they have a place. They had a peak time when it came to marketing, but things changed, right? And so it's incredible to hear the story of how you helped get that reach, get those additional clients, get those companies to a point where people could find them, because we don't really use the yellow pages, I'm assuming, um, so much anymore.
No.
And how else are you going to, use the tools that are at your fingertips? You're already on your phone all the time.
Yeah.
If your business isn't on there, how do people find you?
And it's fascinating because it's like I don't mind if people don't want to get on like every single social media platform. Every platform isn't for them, and
Mhm.
that's perfectly fine. But in 2024, like the biggest push in all of marketing right now is find your 1 to 2 platforms and give it your all. So like if you know that TikTok is not your thing, which is totally fine. I make TikToks that get 3 views, and I do digital marketing for a living. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not for me, and that's fine. But like my Instagram does well. So I push out more content there. Um, like for personal stuff. But it's if you don't need to find if you don't need to get on every single platform, don't do it. Give 1 to 2 your all, whether that be like LinkedIn and Facebook. Perfect. Those can coincide. If you want to do Instagram and Facebook, even better, because then you can post to one and it'll go to the other.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, it it is so much more important to have good content on one platform than a bunch of mediocre content on 7 different platforms. It's just not doable. And all that time that you're spending on one of those needs to also be like almost doubled when you go into Google. Like
Mhm.
I think I'm kind of weird when I do this, but I don't really use Google for a lot. I go into my like Apple Maps, which is linked to Google, and I search things there. So like I'll literally type in grocery stores when I'm in different cities, and it'll populate all the grocery stores near me. So I type in scrap yards near me, it'll populate like all the scrap yards on a map. But that's all Google. Like that is
Mhm.
proximity, but it's also popularity, reviews, all of that. I mean, the reach that like just paying attention or giving 5 minutes to Google, like it's literally spend 10 minutes on it every week. Update your times that you're available, update your website, your phone number. I mean, the most minimal stuff. There's places I don't go to if I don't see the website linked.
Absolutely. I did a 50 states of recycling series last year, and it was shocking to me that almost every single state where I tried to do like the top, 5 to 10 metal recycling yards that were in that state, and almost every single state would have somebody that I knew was large and was very difficult to find on Google Maps, because I wanted to take a screenshot to showcase, like, here's where all their yards are, here's where they're located, this is like where in the state they're located at. And it was shocking to me. If I could find them, not everyone had a website attached to their Google profile through Google Maps. It was just mind blowing. Or we didn't touch on this yet, the Google reviews. There
Yeah.
would be these Google reviews that people would leave for these businesses. Most of them would be positive, but there would be some negative ones that either they did not handle the appropriate reaction on how to handle a negative review, or they never responded at all, positive or negative. Like it's like they just went radio silent on these reviews. And it's uh, you know, obviously you and I have talked about it, offline here, where those are great prospective clients, but that doesn't help us as an industry. That doesn't help us, overall, to get our industry a little bit more out there so that people can find us.
Absolutely. And it's like reactive marketing is it's that's what it is. It's reactive. So you're seeing something out there that, you can like correlate to or like how do I want to say this? Like if you're seeing something out there that you think, oh, I could associate my business with this, react to it. So, and that also is including reviews. So if you're seeing a bunch of reviews that are like, oh, we saw a really hilarious dog that sits outside the yard all the time. You're like, oh, that's weird. I'm seeing all these reviews that say that. Whose dog is that? And you realize it's like the business next door. Go take a picture with it. Oh, here's the dog. Here's like our new mascot, or something, like react to it. And even the negative stuff you have to react to, because those people are unhappy. Unhappy people talk the loudest. Like in everything, like the people that hate airlines are going to be the ones that are yelling about it. Like they're always yelling about it, and they're probably going to sway you on never flying whatever airline again. The amount of crap people talk about Spirit, you're probably like, let me not buy a Spirit ticket, right? So like, because people are complaining about it all the time, but people love, Delta, and that's fine, and they talk about it all the time. So you're like, oh, that's great, but you have to react to the negative stuff as much as you react to the positive stuff, because both of them are going to talk, but the unhappy people are going to talk the loudest all the time.
Every single time. And that you're going to have a plan and a strategy for that too, as you get online and get your business online, because obviously those are going to be usually your most frequent either commenters or engagers. Is, when you go to a restaurant, for instance, if you have a wonderful meal, you're still only 1 out of 5 times likely to actually leave a good review. But if you have a terrible experience, you're 4 out of 5 times more likely to leave a terrible review, even though most of the time people have a wonderful experience. It's the same thing with your presence online. By not being online and not opening yourself up to that criticism doesn't actually help your business, because then people aren't going to even be able to find your business to have those positive experiences, or every now and then maybe a negative one. But those negative ones are ones that are going to allow you to grow as a business as well. Without constructive criticism, how are you expected to actually like get to that next level, get to an improvement place, put any of that in action?
Absolutely. And even talking to like potential clients where, I'm like, hey, like, how are people finding you the most? And it's always Google and word of mouth. Hello. If people don't like you, they're not going to go to you. They're not going to recommend it. And that's fine. Like they may not, you're not going to jive with everyone, but if someone's leaving, like, if someone's going to Google and they're seeing good reviews, they're so much more likely to go somewhere. So like, why not just take care of both of those with one stone and just spend like 10 minutes a week on your Google account? It's very easy to claim your accounts. Recycle Media can always help you with that. Hello.
Yep. Insert a little marketing plug there.
Yeah. And it's so simple. We've all done it. Anyone that's had a business has done it. You have to, because it takes 5 minutes to claim it. Probably about maybe 48 hours, Google will, do the full scope of your website, your email, make sure it's actually you trying to claim it, and then it's yours. I mean, I get emails constantly about their Recycle Media one, just because I'm like, hey, let me make sure I claimed this. Our website's linked, our address is on there, even though we're all kind of all over the place. But it's so simple. It's so simple. It's the easiest thing you can do in 2024 for your business is claim your Google account and fix it up.
I really like that suggestion. Our industry just doesn't, I should step back. Our industry historically has not wanted to step out there. And there's a lot of, reasons why that's been the case. And so we're still kind of coming out of this mindset of, well, if we don't put ourselves out there, none of the negative will come towards us. And yet we still see negative news stories about the metals industry, about the recycled materials industry. And you don't see those positive news stories because we don't put those out. We have 99% more positive news stories of what we're doing for our local communities, our economies, the environment. And yet we very rarely, the majority of us, do not put that kind of content out there to connect with our communities, to connect with like other potential business clients that exist out there. And it seems so easy just to take that next step.
And I guess, I mean, this industry is so different than anything like I've experienced before. And I have friends that also work in marketing, but they're working with like makeup brands and like all the beauty stuff. So it's so funny when we all like sit down together and we're chit-chatting about this stuff, because the problems we have in this industry with marketing are things that they've surpassed and already like are onto the next problem in their industry like 5 years ago. So it's so interesting to me that like an industry that needs customers, it needs clients, it needs business deals is just like years almost behind on like normal marketing growth. And not that it's a bad thing. I think a lot of this industry has focused so much on word of mouth, so much on just small community building, which is great. Like I know when I go into like Boise and I say I work for United Metals in recycled media, they're like, "Oh yeah, I've been there before." But if I go in like anywhere, I'm like in anywhere in like South Idaho, and that's great. If I go like one state over, maybe because they're also like the same sort of like region. If I talk to somebody from here, probably not, which is fine, but because they're focused on their small communities. Um, but I think like the community building that we're talking about now in marketing, and especially this industry, is online.
Mm-hmm.
You and it's not just looking for clients that are going to bring stuff in or small business partners in the area, and that's great and dandy if you have those. But what we're looking for mainly now is people in other states that are like, hey, we can't handle like this level of scrap coming in. Can you take some? Or hey, we have all this stuff we need to hold on to. Do you have anyone that can buy it in this amount of time? Which is what we all need. Like this industry is so great about coming together and like the camaraderie because it's something that we all deal with. Like every single scrapyard has dealt with the same stuff bottom to top, pretty much. So
Mm-hmm.
it's the same experience, which is great, but it's just we all stay like so close to home sometimes. But the community that's available and like the people that are in this industry are so impressive. They're so inspiring. They're so hardworking. It's like, why not share your story and become a voice in that community to also maybe inspire someone else? Like, and it's fascinating to me because it's this industry is just so different and it's so much fun to like be in all the time, but it could grow so much more and I know it can. So I'm really hoping in 2024 we can kind of like take some steps down that path to more like online community building. Um, but we'll see.
And baby steps. It's
Baby
obviously
steps.
something that recycled media is working on. You're working on, behind the scenes, trying to encourage, friends of mine in the industry just to start, just like maybe post a news article every now and then on LinkedIn. Nothing crazy, right? Just maybe even comment on somebody's at that time as well, just to get started, get comfortable with it, and just kind of open your eyes and opportunities up to something a little different.
Absolutely. And like that's branding, like right then and there, like that is branding and people don't like really think about it that way. But like you are your brand. You rep it on your shirt every day you go to the office, you live and breathe it while you're there. You go home, you're probably still like talking about it, you're texting people from the office. Like that is your brand and that's perfectly fine. You need to expand on it, right? So, and I love this so much. One of our clients, Jake Bronstein, down in Maryville, he didn't really post a whole lot on LinkedIn, which is fine. We got him to start posting, which we all love. We gave him, some content, that's some options, like just some things that hey, consider posting things about this. My favorite post to this day is him showing and telling the story of two workers that bike to his house in the morning every single day so that he can drive them to work because they don't have a car to get down there. And I'm just the passion and like the adoration of like him as a business owner, a CEO of, of this brand to be able to be like, hey, yeah, I can take you to work. It's fine. Like that's something like it's like the small things like that, but it's like it is so incredible to me. Like there's people like that. Like that's this industry.
Mm-hmm.
That is his brand. He is that kind of person when he goes to the office. And I'm so glad he shared that because that's just that and to me, and I think as a client, I'm still like, but I keep saying that's just it's incredible to me. Like that is the brand. That is his brand. That is him doing branding, that's storytelling, that's all of it.
And it's going to bring him clients, future employees, community leaders that appreciate that are going to relate to that are going to be more likely to do business with him based on knowing that about him, that's the
Exactly.
type of person that he is, versus having to cold call someone that doesn't know anything about you or your business and then having to explain to them verbally over the phone or at a conference who you are, versus he was able to use storytelling to
Mhm.
showcase who he is as a person, who he is as a business leader.
Exactly. And it's so funny because it's like with Jake and all the great stuff he does, he has such a hard time getting online still.
Yes. Yes.
So it's like the few times a week he posts are incredible. And that's all we're asking. Like just post a couple times. It does not have to be anything crazy. It just doesn't. It could be a couple posts a week, and if it's something like that, and then you just promoting your business, perfect. You're getting both hands. You're getting the sell side, you're getting the branding side, and that's perfect. If I try to tell Brett Eckert to post once a day, every single day at 9 a.m., I will be unemployed.
Yes.
That man will post whatever he feels like it when he needs to. Anything he sees, he'll post about it, and that's perfect. That's his branding, and he's built, who he is and the brands underneath him because of that. But you cannot put people in a box, um, especially him. But it really is like go at your own pace, start slow. If it's once a week when you have time, if it's Monday, you got done reading all your emails for the weekend. Oh, hey, I had this picture from last week. Let me just post that. Perfect.
Yes,
That's
it's a
a week.
muscle. It's essentially this practice that you have to get into the habit of doing. And if you don't
Absolutely.
exercise it, if you don't use it a lot, it's not going to be your strongest suit. I've noticed that as well. For reference, and spoiler behind the scenes of when we're recording this, I took a couple weeks off at the end of the year. Kids are off on school break, so I even took off from like the digital marketing side of things for a couple weeks. I didn't really even schedule anything out. I just wanted mental break. And I will have to say, it's taken me like a week or two to get back into that mental like habit of seeing when there's opportunities to post about something, seeing how there are different stories that I could send to various clients, like just hey, this is an idea. I'm finally getting back into that habit again. And it's crazy. It was only 2 weeks off. Like it
Yeah.
was, and
It's
I had
so
been
much
doing this for a
changes.
while.
Exactly. And like so much happens, so much changes, so many things you want to talk about within 2 weeks, and you've missed like something from 10 days ago. And it's like, if it's even like okay to talk about this now, like,
Yeah.
should I even bring it back? Like, yeah, I don't know about taking 2 weeks off. That's good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to be doing that again. I should. I know I should, but it's also hard from a business perspective. Yeah. It was a lot. That was the first time that I'd done that in probably a decade.
Oh
Crazy.
my God.
The Europeans listening to this are probably like, that's such an American
Absolutely. Well, 40
mindset.
hours is like light work for us over here.
Yes.
40 hours a week.
Yes, exactly. Before we head out, I want to, just pick your brain like for one last thing. Is there anything in particular based on what you know about our industry, about the metals manufacturing, recycled materials communities? What do you see is like that next thing that can get our industry out there that can help these businesses? Like, we talked about the Google side of things, but is there anything in particular outside of that that you're like, just do this in 2024?
Hmm. That's a hard one because there's so many different things, and like some things aren't going to work for other people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say like tag team someone in the office just to kind of help you like with content.
Mm-hmm.
And because it can't be a one person job. I mean, if you're in the office and someone's out in the yard or someone's on the road, talking to clients and customers and things like that, just have them like, hey, if you could take a couple pictures, or if something crazy happens, not crazy, but if something great happens with a customer, you get a good like client interaction, just write it down for me. I want to be able to share those kinds of things with potential customers and clients. I think just like maybe even just tag teaming someone in the office to kind of help you with content will make your life so much easier,
Mm-hmm.
because then you don't feel like the burden and the guilt of having to always do it. Um, I know for us, we have a giant folder on our phones that we can just
Mm-hmm.
dump pictures into. So, I mean, almost every single day I'm getting like updates from like the guys like all over that are just like had this really cool like shot of one of our trucks with the load on going out to wherever, and it's like, oh, these are cool pictures, like cool. And then like sometimes you'll see Brett post them and things like that, but he can't be out there all the time doing that kind of stuff. Like, and nor can most of these like yard owners and business owners and things like that. You guys cannot be out there all the time. You guys cannot see everything. Yeah, just tag team someone else in to help you. And then, if they want to start posting, great, help build the brand from two angles of the business.
That's a really great advice because a lot of the times our clients have said, I can't do this. Like it's too much work. It's overwhelming. And what people I think are comparing themselves to are somebody like Brett that's on there posting consistently. And people forget that he had to start at some point. Like
Yeah.
his first post was probably terrible, right? Like probably not great. Okay. Like, let's just like set the bar there. Like your first post is probably not going to be great. Your second, and third, you're going to get better. Like it's just going to be what it is. But like you said, he can't be everywhere all at once. And so leaning on employees who probably do have at least a small passion for the visual content side of things because they're usually a consumer of it in their personal lives, right? To engage them and to utilize them, I think is going to also retain your employees longer because now they have a second facet to their job is to capture those moments, to really appreciate what they're a part of in this metals community, in this recycled materials community that a lot of times we think is normal because it's what we see on a daily basis. But in reality, what we do is not normal. Most people don't normally see what we do. And honestly, it's really cool. And I just want to keep encouraging with you others to share it and to showcase what we're a part of.
Absolutely. And like even as like just like a side note to that, if your employees are giving you content, give them a small shout out in like the post. Like that was like some random thing I learned in my nonprofit management class on my volunteer side of stuff. Like people are volunteering to give you pictures and give you content and give you videos and interactions. And hey, like, we had Claire out in the yard today working on whatever. She took this really cool picture and then maybe go into it. Or maybe that's at the end, like thanks, like picture credit Claire. Because then when she sees that post, like, hey, I took that picture. Let me just share that because all my friends can see that I took this really cool picture and my boss is like mentioning me. Like that also and just creates more employee retention and like a passion and that they feel at home in these places too. So
That I love that advice. I mean, it's perfect to, kind of wrap up this episode. Marissa Watkins, director of our digital marketing at Recycled Media. Thank you so much for coming on board. You can find her on LinkedIn. You can find her on, the various social media sites. If you've got any questions, she's an excellent resource in this industry. So feel free to reach out to her and find her. Thank you, Marissa. I really appreciate it. And thank you for having this be your first podcast experience.
thank you for having me.
Yes. To many more in the future.
Yes. Cheers.
Thanks.